Okay, so what we have here is a worksheet for you guys to do. It's a chance to do 15 questions, but I absolutely do not want you to do all 15 of these questions at once. What I'd like you to do is the first column only, then the second column only, then the third column only. And in between the first, second, and then after the third column, I will go over the correct answers for each of the questions with you, okay? So as always, when I say to do work, stop your videotape. Do all of the work for column 1, then start your videotape. Then repeat for columns 2 and 3. We do not want you to just watch the video and get the answers that way. All right, so on number 1, it's x plus y divided by 5 squared. You substitute in your 6 for x and your 10 for y. And remember, you have to do your parentheses before the exponents and before the division. So 6 plus 10 is 16. Then you do the exponents, you get 25. 16 divided by 25 on your calculator works out to be 0.64 or 64 100ths if we want to sound very technical. Number 2, 10 minus a times 6 divided by a. Now, I put a box around the a times 6 divided by a. You could put parentheses or you could put nothing. The bottom line is I want to put my first focus on everything I wrote in the box there because it's all multiplication and division, and that needs to all be done before subtraction. So 5 times 6 is 30, divided by 5 is 6. Kind of makes sense, right? Because 5 and multiplying by 5 and dividing by 5 are inverse or opposite operations. So I get 30 divided by 5 is 6, and 10 minus 6 is 4. Number 3, u minus, and then in parentheses, 1 to the third minus 1. And then I have to do the exponent of 1 to the third. And my experience tells me that a few kids in every class will mistakenly think 1 to the third is 3. 1 to the third is not 3. 1 to the third means 1 times 1 times 1, not 1 times 3. So 1 to the third is 1 times 1 times 1, which is 1. And then 1 minus 1 in the parentheses is 0. And then you can do 1 minus 0 and get 1. All right, number 4. 4 times c, 7 times c to the 4th. Very similar idea reinforced here. This time it's 1 to the 4th power, which again is not 4, it's 1. And 4 times 7 times 1 is 28. And then y divided by 6y divided by 7. And in this case, y is equal to 1. So I get 1 divided by, but we got to do all the parentheses first. And in that parentheses, there's multiplication and division. So we just go left to right. 6 times 1 is 6. And then 6 divided by 7 is 6/7. Or you could make it a decimal if you wanted to, and your calculator would allow you to do that. But in my experience, sometimes fractions are easier. I happen to love fractions. I prefer them to decimals. So 1 divided by 6/7, flip and multiply that last fraction, is 7/6. Or you could convert that to a decimal answer, which off the top of my head is 1.16 repeating with the 6. Okay, so that would be a decimal answer that's equivalent. Okay, now the middle column. Stop the videotape, and then we'll go over the answers. Okay, v plus c minus, and then in parentheses, c plus 1. C is 4, and v is 8. So that changes to 8 plus 4 minus, and then 4 plus 1 in parentheses. Do those parentheses first. I get 5. And then 8 plus 4 minus 5. Now we're just in addition and subtraction, and we can go left to right. It's not a problem to do that at all. 12 minus 5 is equal, 8 plus 4 is 12, and 12 minus 5 is equal to 7. Number 7, it says b squared plus x minus 7. If that's the case, then I substitute a 1 for b, and I substitute an 8 for x. 1 squared is 1 plus 8 minus 7. I didn't show you that 1 squared was 1. I should have done it. I scribbled it out there. 1 plus 8, because I do the exponent first. 1 plus 8 is equal to 9 minus 7 is 2. Number 8, v plus 8 plus v plus v. V is 7, so that's a whole lot of 7s there. And there's all addition, so we just go left to right. 7 plus 8 is 15, plus 7 is 22, plus another 7 makes 29. Number 9, x times, in parentheses, c minus c times x. It's a case where algebra is a pretty powerful thing to use because c minus c will always be 0, And in this case, even if I substitute in the 6, 6 minus 6 is 0. And then 3 times 0 times 3, we just go left to right because it's all multiplication. 0 times 3 is 0. Number 10, a plus 8 plus 6 times a. And in this case, it says a is 3, so I substitute in the 3, and I get 3 plus 8 plus 6 minus 3. Again, algebra is pretty powerful here, and eventually you'll see the import of algebra, but we'll just do it as an arithmetic question, just going left to right, because everything is addition and subtraction, and when it's all addition subtraction, like we mentioned with mom and dad, you just do what you see first. So 3 plus 8 is 11, plus 6 is 17, minus 3 is 14. Well, guess what? It's time for you to do the last column. As soon as you're done, put up the answers. We'll go over them. Okay, number 11 says x plus 2x in parentheses squared. So I substitute in a 2 for the x, and I have to do my multiplication first. Do not forget that. 2 times 2 is 4, and then 4 plus 2 is 2 plus 4, I should say, is 6. 6 squared is 36 because the parentheses come before the exponent. 8 times z divided by 9 divided by u. In this case, z is 10, u is 8, so I get 8 times 10 divided by 9 divided by 8. Multiplication and division are all equal in priority. We just go left to right. 8 times 10 is 80 divided by 9 divided by 8. And again, you can put all of this straight into your calculator. It'll spit out the answer to you. But so you understand arithmetically, I just leave it as 8 divided by 9, 80, divided by 9 divided by 8. And that just becomes, 8 divides into 80 10 times. So I get 10 over 9 or 10 ninths or 1.1 repeating. So that's a case where I can do it in my head faster than I can punch the buttons on the calculator. Hopefully the same can be said of you when we get through to the end of the course. Okay, number 13, 2 divided by z minus 2 in parentheses. And in this case, it's going to be 2 divided by, because we got to do the parentheses first, 6 minus another parenthesis. These are called embedded parentheses. It's parentheses inside of parentheses. 6 minus 2, well, 6 minus 2 is 4, and 6 minus 4 is 2. So then 2 divided by 2 is 1. Now, off to the right of that, I wrote a quick little algebra power note just to show you a hint of the future and what algebra can do for you. If I just do the same thing with the order of operations, that doesn't change. Remember, an arithmetic is an algebra, and algebra is an arithmetic. The difference is whether you use numbers or variables. And I distribute that negative sign, I'm going to get z minus z. They will wipe each other out. And then I distribute the negative to the negative 2, makes it positive 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So it's true for any value of z, because z will always cancel each other or wipe each other out. They go die. Number 15, v plus 1 in parentheses times 1 squared. V is 7, so I have to do in parentheses first. 7 plus 1 is 8, then my exponents. 1 squared, we already talked about this. 1 squared is not 2. 1 squared is 1, and 8 times 1 is 8. All right, folks, there's your review for the rest of the day. You are done with lesson 2. Ta-da!